We know that whichever party is elected plans a massive onslaught on the public sector. We know our jobs are at risk, and if we allow the government to cut the terms of our compensation scheme, it makes every single one of us cheaper to sack. We think we have to fight that. We're outside the Treasury today to ask Alistair Darling to get round the table with us. The people in this building here, the people writing the budget for him, doing all the sums for his budget, they're the people whose jobs are at risk, along with thousands of other civil servants who work in the passport service, in the Coast Guard, in the courts, in the galleries, in the museums. They administer benefits, they look after pensioners. The people who we represent earn £14,000 a year in many cases. They're worried about their jobs. Our dispute today is about defending our jobs, defending the communities that we serve, and defending our rights to fair treatment from our employer.
The government are saying that there are no more negotiations. That's why it's important that the PCS keeps up the action. We're determined to defend our members, whatever.
Years ago, you used to just be able to walk in here, talk for half an hour to somebody about your tax. All that's being cut right back, so obviously it's going to affect jobs, but more importantly, public services.
We've had the announcements of what the final proposals for our office closures are going to be. The Stevenage office is still going to close. The Tunbridge Wells office is going to close. There's going to be a smaller retained presence in Portsmouth, only until 2013. We have managed to actually save the Croydon office from closure and the Peterborough office. This office here was under review. There was a possibility that it could have been sent up to Coventry or down to Plymouth. What's actually been announced finally is that this is actually going to be moved to Croydon.
They're getting computers to do more and more elements of our work. So once they do that, the work can be done anywhere. But the trouble is, by getting the computer to do the work, nobody monitors to see whether it's being done properly. My job is to actually bring in money from businesses, bring tax in from businesses that they should have paid, but for one reason or another they haven't paid. Last year I brought in about £1 million. It's a job that's done by thousands up and down the country. If they get rid of people like me, then obviously that money's not going to come in. It's the ordinary working person who suffers. We're paying the tax and they're not. If you're an employee, any tax that you underpay is automatically collected by the computer because your records are held on a computer. If you're self-employed or you're like you're a business, a company, incorporated or unincorporated, and you're fiddling the system, there's no way you will be found out, and there's no way that the money that you should have paid will be brought back into the exchequer unless somebody like us goes out and investigates it. Now, to me, that's unfair.
We're really not a very active or militant branch, and I have to be honest, they're much more concerned about their overseas allowances review and the changes that's going to make.
These are the allowances that people get when they go overseas. It's various things that are designed to compensate for you being overseas, and they're talking about cutting over 10 million from those. And we think a lot of these are actually contractual and they can't just change them without agreement. But this is again the sort of general problems that all departments are facing. There's big budget cuts come in. They're looking to reduce headcount by at least 10%. So we're just looking at fewer jobs and continued attacks on terms and conditions.
It's not just about the civil service compensation scheme, but if they go ahead and are able to implement this without there being any resistance, that they are going to turn around and hit our pensions next.
The government's just released figures of saying how much the civil service pensions are going to cost, and I thought, oh, that's come out of the blue. That's obviously the next. Well, we know it is the next thing.
Civil servants are poorly paid, and we thought we had reserved rights for pensions and the compensation scheme. And this government, although it's a so-called Labour government, have really, really shit on us.
All of us as workers were given a contract of employment when we joined the civil service. We think it's totally unfair of the government to rip our contracts of employment up without any consultation, any agreement.
No cuts, no way! Save our jobs on budget day! No cuts, no way! Gordon make the bankers pay!
Gordon Brown said the bankers' contracts had to be honoured. It was contractual right that they should be paid. And so Gordon Brown sees fit to tear our contracts up, and they're not going to discuss it.
But how comes, you know, they can honour their contract but not honour our contract? And the bonuses they're paying to the bankers must be a lot more than what they're bloody paying us.
I'm sort of could retire in 6-7 years' time, you know, and if I was made redundant, I'm not going to get another job, and that redundancy is really going to be really important to me because I've got to survive on that for the next 7 or 8 years.
Why it's so important to have national disputes to protect national terms and conditions. Before, we managed to make the government back down when they tried to change the pension scheme, when they tried to carry out job cuts, pay freezes. This is just another important area where we're hoping to defend another aspect of terms and conditions of civil servants.
The governor here is trying to cut down all the time on changing our shifts and changing our allowances and that, and it's about taking money away from us all the time. All our members, every penny, they need every penny that goes into their accounts. They've got families, they've got mortgages, and they just want to attack our money all the time, and it's just got to stop.
We're all facing difficulties, aren't we? Every worker is feeling the effects of this so-called credit crunch, which is nothing to do with us. Yet we're paying the price for something that's nothing to do with us.
It's important that we join together with other trade unions in the public sector to be much more effective, because on our own, you know, we can only do so much really.
Everybody in public services is under threat. They're under threat from cuts, they're under threat from redundancies, they're under threats from the Conservative Party and the Labour Party. We believe it's time for workers in the public sector to unite. We would like to see a one-day general strike across the public sector, supported by every single trade union that represents workers in the public sector.
The level of and the extent of the measures announced these last 2 months is unprecedented in Greece as far as public employees, but also generally employees, pensioners also. It's something that has not happened for 2 or 3 generations. The extent of it is crushing. So it made people see that there is time for action and time for unity. We're in solidarity with workers in Britain, in other European countries that strike at this time. And we believe that in solidarity and common fight and coordination, there is hope that eventually this kind of measures will stop, and we will impose a new policy that is to our benefit, not for the benefit of the multinational corporations and the bankers and the profiteers.
British Airways cabin crew have been here with us, the RMT are with us, the CWU, the NUT, and many others have sent messages of support and have attended our picket lines. We are standing up to the bullying politicians over there who are trying to rip up your contracts. Let's keep our heads held high, and let's ensure in the election, as we tour every cabinet member's constituency, every marginal seat, that we tell the politicians, you ain't getting our votes when you're trying to sack us on the cheap and make us lose our jobs. Well done today, well done 2 weeks ago, and we hope you support us through the next few weeks to ensure that our contracts are honoured, our jobs are not cut, and we can do what we do best, serving the people of this country every day, providing public services. Well done everybody, go back to work tomorrow with your heads held high, and let's ensure we win this dispute. Thanks very much.